All right. I think everything looks good. All righty. Well, just to kind of let everybody listening in, we are with the dynamic duo Chasin Birdies. That is Jonathan. How do I say your last name? Is it Pepe?
Pepe.
Pepe?
Pepe. That works.
Pepe.
usually.
And Ryan Bashour. Hopefully I'm saying that one right.
You got it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we were just talking kind of before this podcast got started on how expensive it is in Augusta just to play some of these courses. A lot of the private courses will go like quasi-public for the week and just charge a stupendous amount. So yeah, what were you saying? Just Tree Farm is like $600 or something?
I was actually scrolling on. Well, first off, thanks guys for having us. We appreciate it. It's gonna be a fun little time here. It's nice to be on this side of the mic and not on your side of the mic because we're always doing that.
I know.
But
I told Pep, I'm like, I don't got to do the intro, right? I was joking.
That's right. You can just chill.
Yeah, I was looking at online and the Tree Farm popped up and I think it was like $600 for 18 holes, your drinks and your food, which I mean, the Tree Farm, I think, is like a 125 initiation right now, 125K.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, that actually doesn't sound too terrible for the experience and what everybody's talking about and how much people are loving it. To me, that doesn't sound awful.
Did you upgrade your subscription on Golf Now?
I haven't yet. It's just my credit card declined on Golf Now, so a lot of my tee times are limited.
I got you.
Through Augusta.
Dang. All his invites are pending.
Are gone.
Pending. Yeah, it's that's one of those courses that I think has so much buzz to it right now. There's another course here that hasn't gotten as much attention, but I think could be just as pretty. Old Barnwell. Have y'all heard of that one?
No.
Yeah, so it's going to be a similar.
I think it's nicer.
Have you been there?
I think it's nicer. Yeah, I think it's a nicer. It's just a low. It's just a classic kind of a. It's what you're seeing in the market now, that boutique golf course. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, let's really restrict, the membership. Kind of, you want to say kind of like Grove 23. I don't think nothing really would ever be like that, but mentality wise, there's so many of the Sweetens Cove type courses that's the new thing. Getting 40 acres of land and spending millions and millions and working, but they can put like a 9-hole lit golf course somewhere and manage the flow of traffic. And now all of a sudden you've got a boutique golf course. It's, $400-500 a round.
I think, it's funny because we talk about this often, but the experience around the golf course is sometimes superior than the golf course itself. You talk about some of these places like Grove or Sweetens Cove and, Troubadour, for example, the courses are great. You're not going to knock the courses, but also the thing that sticks out the most is by far the hang.
For sure.
And that shift in golf it's already been happening, but it continues to happen and trend that way. So it's fun, man. That's what we're addicted to, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think that it's like, I feel like there's been two shifts in golf almost, where COVID kind of kicked off just the popularity of the sport in general, where now you got like newbies playing, but then it's like the people that have loved golf forever and like have been players, they're the ones that are shifting into more of like, it's the experience of golf now, where it's the hang, quote unquote. You guys feel like that's kind of accurate?
I've really gotten into that over the last few years, is because like you said, like I've always been in golf. It's always been shirts tucked in, hats forward, prim and proper, you know what I mean? And now that I guess I've gotten older in life, it's kind of like, let's go enjoy, like if I'm going to go play golf and go travel somewhere, let's go enjoy the hang and who we're around. And I want to, for instance, you just mentioned Grove 23. We went with Ray Fulcher. We went down there with him, and it couldn't have been a better 2 days. The company was great that we were with. The hang was out of this world. Drink beer, shirts untucked, hats backwards, hats sideways, whatever you want. And that's kind of like what things are going to in the golf world. And don't get me wrong, I will, if Augusta says, hey, we'd love you to play around the golf here, I'll wear my khaki shorts and my white polo and my tour visor.
They just make you put on pants, though.
Pants. I'll wear a garbage bag if you want me to.
For sure.
I was about to say I'll wear any dang thing they tell me to play there.
It's kind of like the Jordan flu game. It doesn't matter if you get the call, you're playing regardless. I mean, it just
regardless.
If I'm sick,
it's funny. I thought about that this weekend because I actually had a bit of the flu, and I'm like, how did that cat play basketball with that sickness? Because I couldn't get out of bed.
I think everybody's had it lately, but he was, he had an extra chromosome or two. I don't know. It was just like he kicked the reserve in, and I don't know. I think he was just so hyper focused, and he wore that pressure so well that it wasn't going to stop him.
I feel like some of it has to be adrenaline, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
I mean,
I'm sure
you're in the NBA finals, dude. Like, you're going to do anything you can to get through this game. And they were probably pumping his ass with fluids. Yeah. Like no other.
They probably give him whatever they gave Biden, man, to keep that dude on track when he's talking. There's got to be some like elite cocktail where they're like, only the elites get this, and you can just make it through for 4 hours and be okay. And then you go back
I love his new ad that's running. It opens up with him saying, I might be an old guy, or I might be old. I'm like,
no way.
Yeah.
But it's not good.
That's awesome. All right. Well, as we were saying, kind of like the big theme for this podcast was getting to know you guys and the purpose of your brand. And Jesse, you actually said it kind of best. And like, what are you chasing when you were saying like through the name? And that's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of like what you guys talk about is what each guest is chasing in life or whatever the case may be. And so that said, what is the purpose of Chasing Birdies and what are you guys chasing?
Well, I'll jump real quickly. And essentially, the idea is that we as humans are all chasing something in life. So Jonathan and I started this basically in a garage on a whim one night, an idea that may or may not take off, but use golf as a common denominator. And the idea was to highlight people who have chased birdies in life, but have a love and addiction for the game of golf. So, bringing on guys like Bob Rotella, Brian Urlacher, Cam Johnson, guys that we have no business talking to ever. Like, why would we talk to these guys, right? But the reason being is because of golf. And that's kind of just how the idea started with respect to Chasing Birdies. And you could add to that, Pep. I know you probably have some things you want to say.
No. I think like what he said is we're all chasing something in life, and even if you're not a golfer, you are a golfer. You're chasing birdies every day. We just don't realize that, right? I mean, if you're a salesman or the janitor, you're chasing to be better every day. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you're trying to be better. So that's kind of like he said, started the brand on Chasing Birdies. It just kind of went hand in hand with golf.
That's cool. And that's something that I think that when we started ours here, I mean, first off, my hats are off to you guys. I think you're opening some doors for some people and just having normal conversation. And I think the coolest part about kind of this boutique golf we talked about briefly is we're bringing people together, in the game of golf, similar to what we want to do with our brand. I mean, we never set out to target one particular audience. We wanted to have, the thing that I thought was the coolest about sitting at we were hunting at the hunting camp is when you got the guys that aren't normally there show up and they're ready to hunt. And then you got the guys that are there all the time, like my father-in-law, he'll die out there. And the coolest part is seeing the mix of that group of people. You see the old guys just ribbing the young guys. And to me, that brings sort of a brotherhood together that, if you just like, it's cool to go with the guys group to play golf. Like, when we do like our guys trips, everybody's kind of got guys trips that they've taken every year with certain guys. That's a great time and to let your hair down and have fun. But it is a predicted group of people that it's like-minded people in most cases. So when you bring in people from out of the fold, I think that's when the magic happens. That's when it's all races. Some people like to wear, whatever they wear. Some people don't, so it's mixing that up is when, to me, I think America happens. That's how we were made.
Well, the thing of it is too, golf is such a connector networking game already as it is. And, you know, when people ask, we're talking about it and we say we have a golf podcast, I don't want to ever limit us to the fact that we're just a golf podcast, because quite honestly, we're not trying to be like a golf podcast, like a foreplay or a no laying up. Those guys do incredible work, but what we are trying to do is encompass the individuals that have chased birdies in their life, in their career, whether they're in the NBA or have written, you know, New York Times best-selling author books or something akin to that. But we're tying it all together with golf. So we talk about, you know, we highlight their story and then we tie it all in with golf. So it's kind of a weird, you know, little, I don't know, ecosystem that we exist in, because it is a golf podcast at the end of the day. And we certainly talk golf. But we're not so honed in on bringing in, you know, the Ricky Fowlers, the Justin Thomas, you know, the golfers per se, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's almost, I feel like we're on similar lines where like Jesse and I got together and we were like, man, I feel like everything in society kind of tries to divide us. And you guys know, like the whole diversity is like the freaking buzzword of the century right now. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's great in certain places, but I feel like we've lost a common ground. We've lost any semblance of what unifies us or brings us together. So in your case, it's people who chase success and chase birdies, chase the, you know, going after what the heck they want in life. And for us, that was kind of the game plan. Is we were just like, we need to bring people together and just start having conversations again. Cause I mean, and the golf course is a great place to do it too. I mean, you guys, you know this for sure. The conversations can go from just busting each other's, I don't know, balls over, you know, whatever the case may be on the course, to something serious and, you know, being a friend. And I just think the golf course is a fantastic medium for that. So definitely when I found out about the podcast a couple of years ago or a year ago, I was super like, this is awesome. I love people doing this.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. I think that we've lost to where we can't share an opinion, right? Like you can't tell nowadays. It's kind of like Ryan and I can have a conversation and he can tell me something and I'll bust his balls. But if somebody tells me, you know, somebody might not feel comfortable enough to say that I don't know. Right. And it's just like, I feel like we've lost that as a country. And I feel like that's something that was awesome, that you could give your opinion and nobody give a crap.
Yeah.
And now everybody's so reserved and they're so scared to say anything because of the world we live in right now.
Yeah. And it's almost like a self-fulfilling thing. Like I feel like most people you talk to, and this is where like I think the media kind of amplifies it, because I feel like I don't see as much as the media kind of tells us there is. Like I can go up to any old person and just kind of bust on them, and in a knowledgeable sense where I'm not like being a complete jerk, and they're going to be fine with it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that also happens. There is some breaking news. Is that breaking news right now?
I'm still trying to verify it. I don't know. It looks pretty cool, but
so I guess Nick Saban is back. I don't want to like throw a wrench in this conversation, but he just got a text and Nick Saban said he's coming back.
To
which I feel
Alabama?
Yeah.
I feel like is today April Fool's?
Oh, yeah, shoot. It is.
Yeah, because that cat,
dude, he'd be dumb to come back. And I love him, and I miss him, and we mourned him. But, I mean, why?
I don't know.
He needs to chill and just live, you know? I mean, that's...
Well, now I feel like I got...
No, my wife just sent it to me, and she was all excited.
Yeah, I
feel like it's a prank.
Yeah.
It's
100%. We got fooled.
100% a prank. Hey, while we were on it real quick about the connection and all that kind of stuff, I think that's probably something that, if you think about it, the only way to defeat us as a country, you got to divide us. I think it's pretty obvious. Everybody knows that. So if you really just take all of the things that we've been through in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, there is more divisiveness, and it doesn't matter if it's sports. We can't even talk about sports now. And to your point, everybody having an opinion, we're so quick to it's right or wrong. There's not well, that's his opinion or that's my opinion, or
right.
You know, it's you're right or wrong. And and to me, that's, you know, it's not surprising to me, because I just know that, you know, we're eventually going to end up in a lot worse situation than what we're in now. I believe, and so I feel like the more that we can collectively try to come together a little bit and bring some people that wouldn't normally be together, I think that's where I guess most of the, my inspiration comes from connecting unlikely groups together to form some things that are pretty cool. And then you really have to be in that to be able to recognize it, though. And we see it in whether it's music with Ray and some of the rights that we were talking about. I was with him about, how long was that? 2-3 weeks ago. We went up to get that hunting property, and while we were walking the property and talking and just him unloading and we're smoothing through some things. That's what we talk about so many times, that, when you get to witness what happens when you put unlikely groups of people together, for some common purpose, that's where the fun to me really begins. And it's just, that's what we want to invest in. That's what I'd rather go out trying to do it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where a lot of innovation comes from too. Jesse knows this. I'm not a fan at all, but Malbin, I really don't like their apparel. That's just my taste. But to take like an LA streetwear style brand and morph it into a golf, which has been traditionally, like you said, khaki pants, polo, and like prim and proper, is crazy. But now that industry has taken off to where Malbin is represented in the PGA Tour with John Day or Jason Day.
Jason Day, yeah. You're for sure. There's so many. You look at the PGA Tour right now and what people are wearing, it's so across the board. The styles, people are showing their true colors, right? They're not having to be somebody they're not. Jason Day, I never saw him as that because, he was getting paid so much money from Adidas.
Right.
And now he can be himself with Malbin and wear the baggy pants. I literally was just looking yesterday on social media. I think it might have been Malbin posted photos of him, baggy pants, the polo, the flat brim hat. Like, hey, that's cool, man. It's bringing awareness to golf. And is it my style? Hell no. But it's cool to see. And I'm on board for it.
Yeah.
So
I tell you, I'm not on board for a $70 t-shirt.
What if it's a good one? That's
no. You'd
rather buy two $35 cheap ones.
Yeah. Well, not cheap, but better.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
So, that's crazy.
I'm picky about t-shirts myself and beanies. Malbin makes a killer beanie, though. I will say that. I do have one, and it's great. But again, back to the opinions. We may not like it, but, we're not going to hate on the guy for doing what he did. Certainly, he's doing something, which is cool to see. But, yeah, it's definitely not my style either. But, again, my opinion doesn't matter whether I have one or not.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that whole clothing world right now with golf, I don't know. It's just I've seen it change so much in the last 10 years, and it's probably going to continue to change, with these brands now. Red Vanley, Jonathan has the hat on now. Their clothing is exceptional. And we're pretty picky about what we wear. And they're coming out with some really cool, not just designs, but the actual material they use and the fit. It's really good, really good. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I've seen a pair of their shorts. They don't have like actually like a button, but
buttons,
they look like it has a button or whatever. Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, like for example, I just went on your website. That's why I was on my phone. I just went on your website, Kings Creek, and bought a hat. And
that's what I'm talking about.
I bought that right there, and I'm gonna wear that on the golf course, boys. That's a sick hat, isn't it, Bash? You want that, but you're not gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear that. So, but again, like, who would have wore that on the golf course 10 years ago? Now I'm gonna wear that on the golf course, and
yeah.
The greenskeeper, the greenskeeper, he might have wore it, or the guy bush hogging, right behind the property, he would wear it, and probably be embarrassed that he's looking like that on the golf course. Which I just want people to come and enjoy playing the game of golf. Get rid of all the excuses, and whether you want to stop on number 7 at our golf course, and we've got some hidden fishing poles, and throw a couple lines because you're waiting on a group and ahead. It's just something that's cool to do.
Do you actually have that?
Yeah.
I'm just finding out about this stuff. This dude's an onion. Like every time I meet him, he's just unfolding some new revelation, and I'm like, oh, why don't I know about this already? And he makes me cry. Yeah, that's good.
I always make him cry, but yeah, and before people would I can remember when we moved into the neighborhood that we're in with the golf course. I remember that my son used to get in trouble, and the guard would come up there from the guard shack. Yeah, I got another call on Noah again. Somebody's seen him fishing, and I'm like, what? And he's like, I know, man, it's the stuffiness of this neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, he can't fish in the ponds? I mean, it's not like we're bussing people in from, below the border per se. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like we're not infiltrating the golf course.
And he's staying out of trouble, and he's having fun doing it. Can we just let him go?
Oh, my gosh. And it was like a young kid, that he had brought with him that lived in the neighborhood. He says, Bo never gets to fish, so I wanted to take him fishing. And it's kind of like he's got contraband. He's walking up the street with his fishing, with his rod and reel and his tackle box, and a 8-year-old kid in tow with him. And I'm like, what would you rather him be doing right now? He's taking a young kid fishing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they want people to do.
I mean, that's just like basic American. That's like just American shit right there, man. Like cast a rod, throw on some bait, catch a fish. I mean, 2 of my clubs I'm members at in West Virginia, one of them, we actually supply rods to the members.
It's so cool.
So it's like, you want to go fishing? They're like, why would you fish anywhere else?
They stock the lakes there, don't they?
And the other golf course has a huge pond right off the putting green, and all these yo-yos are out there always with these little rods catching bluegill. But it's like, it's not even frowned upon. It's like, it's encouraged to do that.
Who could you possibly be bothering?
Right.
Yeah.
By removing a fish from the pond and then putting the fish back. I don't.
Yeah.
But, it just shows you that people are going to complain about something regardless. They're going to complain about the drug dealers, and all that. And then, but yet they don't want you to let kids do anything else. You kind of force them into,
Yeah, we were fortunate.
Have you ever?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
Have you ever tried to go one day without complaining about anything? Like the effect it has on you. You should try it for one day with like no complaining.
Just
like
smile.
Mentally, it's like
I'm trying to think.
Doesn't
I've already
take much
complained,
energy to not complain.
I've already complained like 3 or 4 times today, so I'm
I know we're all guilty of it.
Yeah,
But if you actually try, because I've tried this, I've read this before. I forget the author who wrote about this, but essentially, not complaining really has an effect on you, and a good effect. So don't complain. But we do it. But you should try it. I tried it.
Hey, I'm down.
It's probably lasted a couple of days, but
I just have to wait till after Masters Week when we get the house rented and get everybody going.
Man, you guys down there in Augusta, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, so you rent your house out?
Yeah, we rent every year. I mean, obviously everybody doesn't obviously have to, but we do.
Hell yeah.
Because it is extremely smart to do that.
The industry for rentals is absolutely insane here. Some of the stories you hear for people that rent, especially in like the super nice neighborhoods, River Island, where like Mercedes basically rents out the entire like neighborhood, and they'll rent the house out just to store linens in and pay.
You got to put linen somewhere.
An ungodly amount of money in there, and you're like, man, it's just crazy here. But yeah, this is like the most stressful 2 weeks of living in Augusta.
It's crazy. It is, you're getting up early and going to bed late, and I think it's just what everybody else in the world calls spring cleaning. It's kind of what we do, just to the next degree. But, it got a little weird at first, just thinking about people being in your house and you got pictures on the wall and stuff like that. But after you do it for a little while, you kind of realize that these people are just wanting to sleep. The best thing in the world for them is to be able to go to the course. So they're not going to spend too much time in your house. But we just tried to embrace it a little bit and make it a little bit more fun for them than normal. Do a little extra things, hide some little nuggets here and there for them to find to make the trip a little bit more special for them. And I think when you start approaching it from how cool can I make this trip? For them?
Experience.
Yeah. Then you start to embrace kind of what you're doing. And, you know, it's almost to your point too, about the attitude. It's, you know, you have a little bit different attitude about it going in, and just say, hey, I'm going to try to make this the coolest time in the world for these people. Albeit that, you could probably say they're going to be blind, running drunk by the time they get there. And, you know, they're not going to put everything where it needs, you know, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they just want to have a good time and enjoy the golf course and enjoy the area. So
where do you go whenever you rent the house out?
It varies. I mean, when the kids were younger, see, both of mine are out of the house now, grown and kind of doing their thing, so we don't have to tend to them as much. But we would go on vacation, take them out of town, because that was our kids' spring break that week. So
okay,
so it worked.
Yeah, and what screws up now that, you know, when they're in college, their spring break is it a week before or a week after? It's
kind of like the week of.
Well, I think my daughter's like at Georgia. I don't think.
The colleges aren't so much on track with us.
Right.
Augusta University is, but basically, you know how like the Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin', Augusta runs on national time. And so like all of the public schools coordinate their spring breaks with the tournament so that people can rent, get out of Dodge, rent the house out, and then come back.
Right. Because technically,
that's kind of cool that they do that. I mean,
yeah.
And they need it because there's not really anywhere for these people to stay when they come. So now it's kind of changing. You know, they're buying up, you know, the bulk of the world here. So it could change in the future, but I think people really like the connection to the hometown and the connection to the tournament. You know, there's so much more to that tournament than what happens behind the gates there. It is amazing. And I didn't realize how much of that was probably pretty much anywhere that there's a major or there's a lot of, you know, action. It's always going to be that situation, but, you know, for once we get to benefit from it.
Yeah. And you guys, have both of y'all been to the tournament?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you guys probably had a similar reaction where, like, as you drive up, you're like, how is this course here? Like, it's rarely, like, oddly placed. Like, when I first got here, I was like, I was a golf, like I said, I grew up loving golf. So I was like, heck yeah, I get to go to the home of the Masters. And I remember driving by it being like, that's it? Like, it's just here? Yeah, it's just there. But it's there, and it's impossible to miss it now. And it's impossible
in 2014, I went down to, I'm in a jewelry business, real life. 2014, I went down to meet with Donnie Thompson at Windsor Jewelers.
Oh, yeah.
And Donnie's like, as you guys probably know him, he's probably the mayor of Augusta, so to speak.
That's pretty
And I pull up to the jewelry store and I look across the street. I'm like, holy hell.
Yeah.
He is literally a sandwich away from Augusta National.
Yeah.
And that road, that was kind of my first experience there. Then we went down in 2015, the year Jordan Spieth won. We went down on Sunday, and then that's the last time I was there. And I know that he's been there when Sergio won.
Yeah, that's correct. He was in a playoff with, was it Adam Scott or Justin Rose? I can't think of who it was, but he won. We stayed. But no, I went in 8th grade. My dad took me down for the practice rounds. So we went down for the first part of the week. And I was just like, at that point in time, right, I'm in 8th grade. And, you know, I didn't really know what to expect. Right. So I don't think I was as like, I don't think I had these like preconceived notions of what I thought it was going to be versus what it was. But then when we went back down in 15, you know, I was just like, damn, this is a freaking machine. I mean, first off, the course, you know, 18 is pretty hilly, right? You go to the back 9, 10, 11. The turn on 13, the par 5, I know they changed it now, but I mean, that was a hell of a bend to try to hit that left off the tee. Just so many little things that you kind of pick up as you get a little bit older relative to what you're used to seeing on TV. But my dad, we went down there in 17 and I took my dad down and, you know, and naturally we didn't have anywhere. We didn't have a flight we didn't have a time to catch our flight, if that makes sense. Right. So we're there. we're committed. We can leave when we want to leave. We're gonna get home. The playoff starts going on, and my dad's getting real antsy. He's like, "We got to get out of here," blah blah blah. I'm like, "What are you talking about? We got to get out of here. We got to get back. We got to get back." I'm like, "We're not getting back. Like, we're fine. Like, we have someone picking us up. We're wheels up whenever we want to be. We're not leaving. Period. We're watching this damn playoff." And we stayed. It was epic. It was electric. It was so fun. But it is, whether or not you're there in person, just having it, even on the TVs, everyone's kind of into it, whether they're into golf or not. Yeah. They know it's the Masters. So it's just a great time of the year, frankly, for me, for anyone. I love it. And I'm kind of jealous you guys are right next to it.
It's a fun time. Yeah. I mean, we take it for granted. We definitely do. And that's something well, you will in time. I think that it's something that no matter, people that live where the Kentucky Derby is, I'm sure that, they start to take that for granted after a while. And you really have to have an appreciation for golf to put up with a lot of the, this is it's like Disney right now, I guess, our whole town. And so it creates a lot of work. And it's tough, but you want to have a good showing for the people that are coming in town. And I think every year it's easy to get extremely envious of how well they've branded themselves and the quality. If you're starting something new and to think of every little detail that they've covered is amazing to me.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's like a well-oiled machine for sure.
It's Disney World for golfers.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. All right. So Jonathan, you said that you're in the jewelry business kind of in your real life. What is that like?
So my business partner, Brandon Katzif, and I, who's one of our best friends, we go everywhere together, me, him, and Ryan. But he and I were college golf teammates at Marshall University. And his mom started a jewelry store, retail store out of her purse selling gold chains. And 42 years later, Joyce's Jewelry is here, which Brandon now owns. And then he and I have a company called Your Line Jewelry. So we manufacture and wholesale diamond jewelry to independents throughout the country. Wow. Windsor Jewelers, right. Hales Jewelers in Greenville, South Carolina. And the list goes on, but it's kind of in your neighborhood. So yeah, that's what I'm doing is I travel and take jewelry and try to sell it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Ryan, what do you do? What's your full-time gig?
This guy, he's on the road. Like, I literally have to get dates from him when he's available to do a podcast. I'm like, bud, are you in town this date, this date, that date? And he's like, no, I'm in Arkansas. I'm in Rhode Island that week. I'm like, yeah, jeez. So yeah, but they've had a hell of a run with that. So hats off to you, bud. I just realized as your name's going across the bottom of this, I could call you Joe Nathan. Your name is Jonathan, Joe Nathan.
That would be perfect for modern day.
Joe Nathan.
You got to call me this way. This is how you pronounce my name.
No, me. So I'm in the oil and gas business.
All right.
And pretty much started. You are?
Well, inadvertently. What? As much as oil and gas.
This surprised me. So what are you talking about, dude?
I'm 100% not.
Secrets coming out on the show.
100% not.
The story's coming out.
That's cool, though. Do you do commercial, residential gas sales or something like that?
No, so I basically I'm on the royalty acquisition space. So we acquire royalty rights in the Marcellus and Utica shale plays. And I got into oil and gas. I graduated college in 2009 and essentially got in right after that in 2010. So I've been in it, for 14 years now. Started my company 10 years ago, 2014. And pretty much been married to that game for the duration of my career. But yeah, it's fun. It's a little stressful at times, but I have no regrets. Yeah.
So basically I'm leading up to this question of you guys are really busy and you have these successful businesses on the side, and then you guys come together to create Chasin Birdies. So what has the experience been like with you guys doing this? The overall takeaways?
Wow. We have this conversation quite often. Just, we started it in the garage of his house and didn't know what we were doing, right? I had some people that we can interview that were quote unquote celebrities or athletes and things like that. And let's see where it takes us. Like eventually that's going to run out, and knock on wood, it hasn't run out, because we've done a good job with these people, and they want to introduce us to their friends, and it just snowballs from there. Ray Fulcher is a prime example. I met Ray Fulcher at Troubadour. It was me, him, Mitchell Tenpenny, Thomas Archer, Devin Dawson, and this yo-yo playing golf. And I can say that was 2 years ago. We have formed relationships with each one of them. We went to Grove 23 with Ray and Archer, and then Ryan and I are going to see Mitchell at State College. He's opening for Luke Combs. So the relationships that we have built from this has been amazing, and they are really relationships, because we talk to these people all the time now. It's like this simple interview has turned into a friendship.
Yeah. Is that the same case for? I noticed that on your guys' podcast website, you have the partners, and you guys have formed some pretty cool partnerships with Nemacolin, Red Banley, and some of these guys. So explain kind of like what that process has been like in forming these partnerships and relationships.
Nemacolin was kind of a shot in the dark. It's near Ryan and I, and we both have frequented there many times, and I'm a member there. And I said, listen, Ryan, we need to align ourselves with people, even if they're not paying us to start, but we need to align ourselves with people that make us look bigger than we really are. And Nemacolin is this 5-star resort in south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And he said, Bud, they're going to tell you no. Like, they're going to tell you pound salt. And I said, well, I'm a very much the type of person, we're in the same position we're in then.
Yeah.
I'm in sales, right? Where there's a no, there's a yes. So we pitched this to them, and they come back, 2 weeks later? And they're like, we love the idea. And we're like, what? So long story short, this has allowed us to get people, your Chase Chrisley's we had on. We brought Chase there. We did some concert series with George Burge and Ray. Who else was there? Colt Ford, Matt Stell. And now, this year, July 14th to 16th, we're having the Chasin Birdies 2-man at Nemacolin. There's 40 guys playing, and it's a blind draw event. And we had it last year at the Greenbrier, but the alignment with our partners has been fantastic. And I'm sure you can enhance that conversation a little bit, Ryan.
Well, as you guys can hear, kind of just what happens on the peripherals outside of the podcast. You get these relationships, you get these business relationships, really are what they are at the end of the day, to help add some value to your brand, what you're trying to put out there. And for me, coming from a business background, I told Jonathan from the very start, if we're going to do the podcast, we got to do it right. We're not doing it half-assed. We're going to do it the right way. And by the right way, I mean, I don't know how to scrub audio, so I'm going to hire a producer. I'm certainly not going to get involved with handling social media because I barely do that for myself. We're going to hire social media people. So, there's, I guess, the biggest learning curve for me is that how do you put something out there that sticks?
Right.
And that's something we're constantly trying to still figure out to this day. I mean, we've had phenomenal guests and we do a great job. It's funny listening back to our first podcast 3 years ago to the way that we bantered with our guest relative to our latest podcast with how we conduct interviews or conversations, as I like to call them. It's night and day. So we've certainly grown in that respect, but still from the business perspective of how do you grow your brand and how do you, create the followers or downloads or subscribers, whatever it is, it's still like throwing dirt at the wall, hoping it sticks.
No clue. We have no clue.
We really, it's just like that. So having these outside partnerships really kind of boosts the brand in some way, because it puts on this persona a little bit. But at the end of the day, getting back to what the whole podcast is about, which is the common denominator between all of us, golf.
Yeah.
That's how these relationships form anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship aspect of it has been great. It's been really cool to meet so many people that, like Andrew Red Vanley, who started Red Vanley. I mean, they're on a rocket ship right now. George Burge, we met him before he was George Burge, essentially, when he was just starting to peer up. And now look at him now. I mean, so a lot of these guys, that we kind of met early on have progressed. And it's really just comes down to the same thing. We love golf. We're good people. And that's really just what it's about for us. It's easy, especially in social media nowadays, to be distracted. We put so much pressure on ourselves because we see things, right? But like, there's perception, then there's perspective, and there's two different things. So we have to keep our perception in place with what reality is, as opposed to our perspective on someone else and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, it's fun, and you guys know this. You're starting out. I don't know how long you guys have been doing this, but there is a time component, there is a responsibility component that comes along with having a podcast if you want to do it right, period.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the more I talk to people like you that have a show, I used to think, like, before I got into this, so I've been doing podcasts for about 2 years now, 2 years and some change. And when I first started, I was like, all right, there's a formula to success. And I think to some extent that's true. But the more I talk to people that have been doing this for some time and are successful, it's all the same. You just throw dirt at a wall until something finally sticks, and then you just run with that. And hopefully you're a good steward at that point to where you can maintain that. And so you just got to keep on keeping on. I think you guys know this, but most shows don't make it past 13 episodes just because they get discouraged. And like you said, the social media world, you compare yourself to others so much that it steals that joy away from doing it.
Yeah.
And so you just got to focus on the right things.
I think totally. we read an article that was less than 10% of podcasts make it to 5 episodes.
Well,
really?
Yeah, and it's a and to throw it on top of this, this has become, even though it's part-time, it's still full-time.
Yeah.
But throw on top of that, we have 2 full-time careers,
Mm-hmm.
I have things that I'm running, he has things he's running, you guys have things you're doing outside of this. So it's like, we can't sit here and say that we're just completely living off of the podcast, because that would be a total false statement.
Yeah.
Not even close. In fact, we're still in the red, but
that means it's successful. That means you're rocking and rolling. And that's the thing the reason I had been approached and had kind of wanted to do something regarding a podcast. And I also want to write a book. So I didn't know which one I wanted to do first. So I guess we'll just pile it all on and do it at one time. That makes sense. That's perfect for me. But, I think it still goes back to, and I know you guys can appreciate this because I know a little bit more about y'all from Ray and some of the other guys, and Stelly. I was so excited, by the way. This is a sidebar that Ray's bringing Matt with him this week. So those two together are a freaking riot.
Oh my God. He's a beauty.
Because Matt's a different human being. He's not, he's way warped. I mean, he's a different human being.
Dude,
I love that.
I think he is probably one of the wittiest people I've ever met my whole entire life.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard to explain that to other people.
It literally, he says stuff and you sit there and you're like, you're trying to like dissect what he just said because it's so over your head. He's really, really smart.
Right. And it comes out so easy.
Yeah.
And so he'll nonchalant throw out some of the slickest takes on things that you would ever have imagined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Effortlessly.
Yeah. He's good, man.
And I think it's cool.
My boy Matt Stell, though, I mean, when you see him, My man's he's 6'5", 6'6", whatever he is, and he's using regular sized golf clubs, bud. I mean, he looks like he's out there in the garden trying to get the snake or something. Like, get proper sized golf clubs. I've told him this now the last 2 years. Like, go get fitted, man. Like, you need another ½ inch on those golf clubs. I mean, his driver legit looks like he's swinging a toothpick.
He looks like he'd be a big guy. Is that pretty accurate?
Oh,
Like he's
huge.
Oh yeah. I mean,
he looks handsome in real life too. You know, so he's kind of intimidating because he's 6'8" and he's pretty handsome and witty. And now, and I'll tell him to his face, and rich. I'm like, what have I got? I bring zero to the table with this guy.
And the ability to sing.
For sure.
I mean, you talk about, like, that's why my wife doesn't even go around him. She's not allowed to.
That's so funny.
why?
Because, bud, I don't need any of that going on. All right, with Matt.
Oh shoot!
Got to keep him away.
That's hilarious.
That's funny. All right. Well, we have been going for about 45 minutes, which is kind of right around our threshold. But I wanted to end it with a segment that we tried this out on our last episode called the Yes Sir segment. It's based off your hat, the Yes Sir.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the concept of the segment is asking you a question. Like when you say yes, sir, on the golf course, it's like after you drill a 30-foot putt or something like that. Just one of those moments that mark an awesome end to things. So what is y'all's yes, sir moment? Or should I say yins? I guess that's a Pittsburgh thing.
Yins.
For me, it's like hitting a bet like NC State +7 and not even sweating the game. I'm like, yes, sir, that's easy.
I like my yes, sir moments, like when you make your first birdie in the day, because then it's ready to go. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
think
one.
most birdies are like that, where you're just like, yes, sir, this is got to keep this train rolling. I get fearful though when I hit a birdie, when I start off with a birdie or like it comes too soon, then I'm like, oh, this is all downhill from here.
Sometimes for me, it's whenever we're neck and neck on the course coming down the stretch and he blows one OB. And I'm like, yes, sir.
That's
But
right.
that literally, that's one thing that does not happen.
Oh, we've seen it this year, bud. Your driver was struggling where? Where was it the first time? Left, right, left. You couldn't get it.
Well, we're back on track, bud.
You're back. I know. That's an anomaly. I will say that.
There's not a more frustrating thing than a driver going right and then immediately going left now.
It's
Like I'm 4 holes in
yeah.
and I've covered the entire gamma of my miss. So, you know, it's the guessing game. It's a surprise. Everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I'd knock it down to a 3-wood, but I'm 3-woodless right now. So
I forgot to bring it.
yeah, it's all right. It's all right. All right, gentlemen. Well, I really appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. This was fun.
Phenomenal.
I love
And
it.
I can't wait for you guys let me in that your next guest coming on. I don't know if you guys want to say it on the podcast or not, but
Yeah. The next guest that we're going to have is Lee Trevino. So we're actually interviewing him this Saturday at Nemacolin. So we're really, really excited for that.
That's gonna be good.
that's going to be awesome. And everyone listening can check that out. You can either go to chasinbirdies.com. Is that the actual website, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or just find them wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Chasin Birdies and get your ears and get tuned into them. That's Ryan and Jonathan. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
And
you guys.
We'll
hopefully
have you
we
here
can do
for
this
sure,
again.
though.
Yeah, for sure.
We want to have you here we'll play some golf and you know, we might not can get out to one of the courses, but we could probably get out. I don't know. We can get to Sage and play. It's always a good time out there.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Thank you guys.
All right. I appreciate it.
Some kid from across the county got on mouthy about his daddy's new Camaro. And it was all gas.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. If you would please leave us a review and a rating, that is how we get the word out about this podcast. And lastly, go check us out at Kings Creek Apparel. Thank you.